What's up, SRL League fans, and welcome to round 6 of season 3 of the International GT3 Championship, the 1.5 hours of Portimão. It's round 6 of the season. We've got 2 more races to go, including this one, and today we could possibly crown a champion. It all depends on how our two main championship contenders, Samuel Brandt and Max Mulder, do today. I'll just set up the stream right now, so I'll be gone for about 2 minutes. We got an 8 driver grid today. That's a decent amount. Definitely good enough to have some decent GT racing. We've seen some incredible races so far this season. I hope today here at Portimão in Portugal it won't be any different. Definitely a good track. I mean, we've seen it in F1 perform. It's also soon will be raced on the SRL League F1 calendar. After the Canadian Grand Prix, we're going to Portimão for the first ever SRL League Portuguese Grand Prix in F1. And there's the last driver we're waiting for, Dion Stahl in the Acura. The only Acura racing today. Because obviously myself, Sandro Doulis, started this season in the Acura. But I switched to the commentator booth midway through the season. Since we needed a commentator to commentate the races. I'm definitely happy to be here with you guys, commentating a race from an outside perspective. But obviously the racer and myself really wants to be out there on the racetrack. But hey, last race was fun, so let's hope this race will be even better, especially for commentary. We see Yannick Verpeten in the chat. That's a driver for the Audi team. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it today because he's feeling really sick. So, obviously, best wishes out there here to Yannick Verpeten. Get well soon, mate. And hopefully we can see you back on the racetrack next week in F1. While we're waiting in the lobby, let's go over the driver grid today. We got Samuel Brandt, championship contender. He needs to do well today. He needs to finish ahead of Max Mulder in order to at least postpone the championship decision to the final round of the race. Then we got Jensen Randall in the Mercedes. He's won the Spa 2.4 hours this season. Then championship leader Max Mulder, the big favorite for the championship for this race win for Audi. Then we have Cameron Weston Edwards, Lance LeBron, Cas Nurgens. He's starting his first ever SRL race today. Then we have Cameron Weston Edwards, the SRL veteran, making his first appearance in the GT3 Season 3 Championship here today for the Audi team. And then we got Dion Stahl in the Acura. We'll have a 15-minute qualifying session followed by a 1.5 hour race, obviously. And the big question in all of these races all the time is what the weather conditions are like. Will we see some wet racing today? Happened many times before in this championship, so nothing out of the ordinary. And there we are. Cars are still in the garages. And we can hear the first engine being fired up. Here we can see Lance LeBron leaving his garage in the Lamborghini number 25. It's LeBron's second start of the season. Last time we saw him was out at the Nürburgring. And first car out on track, championship leader Max Mulder, as he goes for a spin on cold tires. Hopefully not a sign for things to come. Fingers crossed for him. He's currently leading the championship by 10 points over Sammy Brown, so that's an entire race win, as he's warming up those rear tires. Behind him, it's Lance LeBron and Cas Nurgens. The Dutchman, 34 years old, making his first ever SRL start today. He got signed up during the week and is making his first start here. He's going for an all Project Cars 2 schedule. So that includes the GT3 Championship, obviously, as we can see here today, and the one-off events like the Indy 500 coming up in June, the Le Mans 2.4 hours in the winter, and the Snowball Derby also in winter. Glad to have Nurgens here in the SRL family. Cameron Weston Edwards. It's been quite a while since he's last raced on Project Cars 2 in those GT3 cars. Let's hope he hasn't gotten any rust, but knowing Cameron, he'll be quick right from the go. Jensen ran in his Mercedes. It hasn't quite been the season the Brit has hoped for. Obviously, raw pace is there, it's always been there, but it's always the consistency that was lacking on Project Cars. Let's see if he can possibly win a second race of the season here today. And Samuel Brandt, Max Mulder's championship contender, 10 points is the gap between those two. Samuel Brandt needs to finish ahead of Max Mulder here today in order to postpone the decision for the championship at least to the final round and keep his chances. As he starts his flying lap now. And we hop on board with him. First corner, takes a lot of the inside curb, runs wide on the outside curb. Little kink here, going into hard braking zone. This hairpin corner. Now up the hill we go, really difficult to get the power onto the racetrack. The car really wants to spin out here. He takes it easy through here, then it goes now down the hill into this downhill braking zone. Really easy to lock up the front tires. Brandt hits the apex early on the power, run the car to the outside of the track. This kink here is flat out. Kink to the left, kink to the right. Lift a little bit, run a little wide on that curb, use all the track you have for this uphill right. Once again, really difficult to get the power onto the racetrack. Another kink to the left, flat out. Run the car wide through here and flick the car to the outside to take the apex for this right hand corner. Now we go downhill again. It's really a lot of elevation changes on this Portimão racetrack as we go up the hill for this braking zone. Really tight. The front tires are screaming for grip through here as we go into this long right-hander, which is really hard on those left outside tires. Run it wide onto that curb and now into that really difficult last corner. You have to keep it on the inside, lift a little bit. It's not flat out like in the F1 cars. Run it wide onto the curb. A little bit of track extent there from Brandt. And it's going to be 1 minute 47.6. That was a decent lap, but it's 4 seconds off Max Mulder, who put in a 43.6. What a fantastic lap by Max Mulder. He is 6/10 clear of the next car behind him. Make that 80 thousandths, because Logan Oran put on a stunning lap, just shy of pole position, provisional pole. We got the rookie Kaz Nuriens in 3rd place. That's really impressive from him. Cam Weston Edwards, told you guys, straight away puts it into P4. Dion Stahl with his first lap in 5th place, 2 seconds off as he runs right through the hairpin. Jensen Randall put in a 45.9. He's definitely looking to improve on that. As we can see, Jeremy Pope has just joined the session. Great to see Jeremy here, making it in qualifying. He's driving for Porsche, so the American is also on the track, putting us on to 9 drivers here today. Can Logan Around improve? The pace is there. The pace for pole position is there. Those two, Max Mulder and Logan Around, are in a different zip code right now. We've got 4 minutes left in the session. Logan Around currently stuck behind Weston Edwards, Max Mulder's teammate here today. Max Mulder has gone back out on the racetrack. He was in the garage a second ago, putting up some fresh tires. Logan Around is stuck behind Cam Weston Edwards. That is not ideal for the American. He sticks behind him, goes to the inside. Yeah, no, he's aborting the lap and went back to the pits. But I missed it. But he actually scored pole position on that lap. Provisional pole for Logan Around. 1 minute 43.5. I did not think. That's why I wasn't looking. I did not think he could improve on that lap because he was stuck behind Weston Edwards. But he actually put in a quicker lap than Max Mulder, as Max Mulder is now looking to respond. As the young Dutchman goes on his flying lap. Down to turn 1, hard braking. Hits the apex. Oh, a lot of rear end there. He's running that car really loose, but we know that a loose race car is a fast race car. Takes a lot of that inside curb. Puts the power down. Up the hill he goes. Uses a lot of the exit curb. Carsten Nuriens also improved. He's 2/10 off Logan Around, hard braking, downhill. Don't hit that orange sausage curb. A lot of rear end there on the exit. Max Mulder doesn't need pole position here. As we look on the timetable, his championship rival Samuel Brandt is down in P7. Right now at least, so Max Mulder doesn't need to take pole position, but obviously that's the ideal position for him to start this race. You don't want to be in the middle of the chaos, as it's coming into the last sector now. You got 2 corners left, that long left-hander. The car really wants to go wide all the time. You really have to push those front tires through there. And now through the final corner, you want to carry as much speed as you can. without running too wide onto the exit curb. Max Mulder takes it quite conservatively, I'd say. Let's see what lap time is going to be. Max Mulder on provisional pole. 1 minute 43.4, and he got another shot at it. Can Logan Around respond? He's 74 thousandths down. Let's not forget about Carsten Nuchiens here. He's also only 3/10 down in the Porsche in his first ever SRL League start. Definitely an impressive showing by him. Now let's see what Orion can do. The American through the final corner. Use a little bit more space off the racetrack than Max Mulder. Onto the start finish straight he comes. Not enough. Max Mulder's entered the pits. His qualifying session is done. Logan Around goes on another lap. This is Carsten Nuchiens on his flying lap. Let's see what he can do. Can he improve on his lap time? He got third place secured. His gap to the next car behind is almost an entire second. There's a huge gap between P3 and P4, which is currently held by Cameron Weston-Edwards, who once again, I can't say it enough, puts an impressive performance for someone who hasn't raced in almost a season. Nuchiens for the final corner. On to the start finish straight. What can the Porsche driver do in his first ever SRL qualifying session? It's pole! It's pole for Carsten Nuchiens. 69 thousandths of a second ahead of Max Mulder. Can Logan Around respond? He's currently down in the second row as he runs a little wide through the left-hand hairpin there. Max Mulder can respond. It's currently a Dutch 1-2, a Dutch front row. Logan Around doesn't seem like he's improving. He had a lot of rear end on the last... Yeah, he misses the apex through here as well. I don't think he's improving on that lap. And it's going to be pole position for Nuchiens in his first ever SRL qualifying session. Wow. And look at those top three. That's really close. As Logan Around completes his lap. And it's going to be P3 on the grid for him. Wow, that was an exciting qualifying session. For an endurance race, I might add. So it's going to be Carsten Nuchiens in his first ever qualifying session on pole position. And championship contender Samuel Brandt is down in P7. He needs to finish in front of Max Mulder to keep championship chances going into the final round at Zolder. Really tricky task for the Dane. Dion Starr completes his lap. Can't improve, he'll start P6 behind Jensen Randall. And that's qualifying done. Lance LeBron is the last car to complete a lap. From the sounds of his car, it seems like he's out of fuel. And that's it. It's going to be an all Dutch front row with Carsten Nuchiens, the newcomer, on pole position ahead of Max Mulder and Logan Around in third. Then we got Cameron Weston-Edwards on his comeback in P4 ahead of Jensen Randall in the Mercedes. Then it's going to be Dion Stahl ahead of championship contender Samuel Brandt, only P7. Poor qualifying session by the Dane. Then it's going to be Lance LeBron and the other American, Jeremy Pope, unfortunately missed qualifying his start from the last row in P9. So we are currently just waiting for the drivers to make some last second setup calls. And then we'll go racing for 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours of GT3 sports car racing. What else do you want on a Saturday afternoon? Blue skies at Portimão, just what you want, perfect racing conditions. Fingers crossed that it stays like that for the entirety of this race. Max Mulder. He really just needs to keep his nose clean here today. He can't afford to have an incident and lose his gap in the championship. He just needs a decent finish, and if possible in front of Samuel Brandt, to even secure this championship here today. It's a flying start, so there's a little gap between the drivers on the start, but we've seen some incredible jumps on in the GT3 championship so far this season, and in the past as well. And it's quite a long run down to turn 1. Obviously it goes downhill as well for that first kink. There is a lot of runoff, but definitely a really tricky corner, as now we can go through the final corner. It's an all-Dutch front row with Cas Nugians, the newcomer, on pole position. The Portimão, 1.5 hours. Will we crown a champion today? We'll know at the end of this. And we are go for the Portuguese GT3 race here at Portimão. It's a good start from Max Mulder. Not a great start, as there's contact between Logan Around and what looks like Cam Weston Edwards. They have lost some positions. Nugians is in second. Max Mulder, all he wanted just happened. He's leading the race and is in front of all that chaos behind. Orand and Weston Edwards definitely made some contact there on the race start. Jensen Randall was the one that took advantage of that and is now up to P3, make that P4 and possibly P5, as Cam Weston Edwards just took them free right, and Jensen Randall has outbraked himself and hit the rear end, and there's contact and Jensen Randall flips. Wow, what a massive crash for the Brit. There was contact with him and Dion Starr in the Acura. He can keep going, but there's some massive damage to that Mercedes, and he will have to pit for damage repairs. It all started with Cam Weston Edwards taking them free wide, and then Jensen Randall outbraked himself into that hairpin down the hill on cold tires and hit the rear end of Cam Weston Edwards. He came back on the racetrack where, yeah, the Acura of Dean Stahl was just a victim. I don't know what the damage is like for Stahl. I hope his car will be fine. He's still running strong P5. Samuel Brandt. That's what I said. You don't want to be in the mix of all that chaos, because you can easily end up like Jensen Randall in that position. Oh, and there was some contact between Samuel Brandt and Dion Starr, I think. And Jeremy Pope tries a move on Samuel Brandt, but no chance. There's more grip on the outside, as it seems like. Oh, Max Mulder defending hard here from Cas Nugians, who has a look down the inside, but it's not enough. It's Logan Around in P3. Those top 3 have run away so far. There's a big gap between P4 and P5 as well, around 4 seconds between Cam Weston Edwards and Dion Stahl. Wow, what a first lap it has been, as the leaders are too wide. Cas Nugians to the inside of Max Mulder, and Logan Around goes through as well. Does Max Mulder have a problem? Or is he just taking this tactical? Because he doesn't need to fight them. He just needs to finish in front of Samuel Brandt here today. But, well, after losing first place on the first lap, Cas Nugians is back in the lead in front of the American of Logan Around in the Ferrari. Cam Weston Edwards has closed the gap to this battle. There's a great scrap this early on in the race, as we can see Jensen Randall in the pits, unfortunately. Obviously with that damage, as Cam Weston Edwards has a look around the outside there of his teammate Mulder through the hairpin. Really difficult to make an outside move work into that corner. Now he has a look down the inside. Mulder runs wide. What's up with Mulder? Does he struggle with cold tires possibly? Because he's dropping like a stone right now. And I don't think that's a tactic. I don't think he... Knowing Max Mulder and the will of winning races that he has, he wants to run first here. He got that mentality to win every single race he starts, so I doubt he's letting those guys through. But anyways, Nugians leading. Only 5 tenths ahead of Orand, who's sniffing the race lead here. And behind them it's the two Audis of Weston Edwards and Mulder. Then Samuel Brandt, who has worked his way around Dion Stahl. Dion Stahl has dropped to 8th now. He hasn't pitted for damage, but I think there must be some damage to the Acura. That was a decent hit on his front right. Jensen Randall, meanwhile, has exited the pits. He is over a minute behind the leaders now. But, most importantly, still running. This is an endurance race, anything can happen. And after a flip on lap run to still be in the race, that is already some luck there. On board with Logan Orand for the final sector of this racetrack. He's a little bit further away than last step, I feel like, but I think that the Ferrari is a lot stronger through those final 2 corners than the Porsche. The gap is 6/10. While the slipstream is strong on this game, I don't think it's enough to make up 6/10 on this straight. But we'll see what the straight line speed is like. He is getting closer for sure. And he spins. Logan Orand is around. That was that Ferrari rear end. The Ferrari is a really loose car. And Logan Orand just experienced that. And Orand is down to P4. Now Weston Edwards is on the pursuit for the lead. So suddenly, it's not a battle for first anymore for Nugians. It's a 3-second lead. That's what you want. As we have a quick look at the strategies for this race, you can see on the right hand side the dashboard of those cars, and you can see that little fuel emoji emblem. A number next to it shows you how much fuel the guys are running. So we definitely got a full tank for Nugians. Weston Edwards also running a full tank. Mulder as well. Orand as well. So is Brandt, who's in the fight with Jeremy Pope in the middle sector currently. And Pope is through on the Dane. Pope is also running a full tank. So is Lance LeBrun in the Lamborghini. Dion Stahl also running a full tank, and obviously Jensen Randall just pitted also on a full tank. So unlike Oschersleben, where we had some alternative strategies from Logan Orand, for example, who underfueled his car for the race start, building a gap early on, everybody seems to be on the same strategy. So that's fun, because now we can see the true pace of everyone without the strategy. It's definitely, as long as it stays dry, this should be an easy one-stop race. As the gap between the leaders remains around 3 seconds. Mulder doesn't seem like he has the race pace compared to his qualifying pace, obviously. Right now, at least. That can easily change. But he's in perfect position to win this championship here today, so he doesn't need much more. As we know, Samuel Brandt is running in P6, currently side by side again with Jeremy Pope in the Porsche. The Porsche got the preferred line. Brandt on the outside can accelerate earlier though, and they make some wheel bangs, some contact there. Next corner should be Brandt's, but Pope keeps it around the outside. There's some more contact going on. And Pope holds it around the outside in that red Porsche. And he makes the move stick. Wow, nice battle. So Brandt is down to P6. Only cars behind are Lance LeBrun and Dion Stahl and Jensen Randall. Obviously, I think Dion Stahl must have some damage. He's running around 8 seconds slower than the car in front, Lance LeBrun. As Brandt has a look down the inside of Jeremy Pope. There's some more contact between those two. Hard battle early on in the race. Now onto the straight. Let's see how quick he can go in that Ferrari. 250, 260, 265 with the slipstream. As he closes the gap through turn 1, gets a little bit of oversteer on the exit curb. As Pope goes defensive. Through his uphill left kink. Brandt is really close now to that 99 Porsche. We have a look down the inside into the hairpin. Surely he will. Pope brakes really late. Brandt brakes a little later. He got the preferred line. And Pope can't hold around the outside because of that exit curb, I think. And Brandt is in front now, up to P5. Meanwhile, Logan Orant has closed back up to the two Audis. He's running around half a second lap quicker than those two. Currently fastest car on track is Kars Nuchians, our race leader, with a 1:45.3 on the last lap. That being lap 6. Last lap was the first 44 for Kars Nuchians, a 44.8. That's some 1.5 seconds quicker than Cameron Weston Edwards in second, at least on the last lap. The gap is now up to over 5 seconds. As Mulder runs wide through that kink, almost onto the grass. There's some AstroTurf there as well, which he just used. As we got our first time penalty, a 1 second time penalty for Dion Stahl. We'll keep checking this overview, the leaderboard, to see if we got any more penalties, because that's going to play a big factor, especially going through turn 1. You can easily run it wide through there and pick up a slowdown penalty, and if you don't serve that slowdown penalty on Project Cars, you get a penalty in terms of time penalty that will be added to your race finishing time. As Mulder's now really close to his teammate Weston Edwards. Don't think there will be any team orders, considering that those two haven't made any race starts as teammates so far this season. Obviously this being Weston Edwards' first race start, as Weston Edwards goes defensive to the inside line, trying to break that slipstream, as Logan Orant has a look around the outside of Max Mulder, but he isn't close enough. And down the inside goes Orant into turn 3. And now you got the move stick. Blocks the inside line so Mulder can't do any switchback moves. If Mulder stays close enough going into the hairpin, he might have a look down the inside, but Orant is going somewhat defensive. And Orant is up into P3, and I think Cameron Edwards has kind of missed the apex there. And Logan Orant going in there very, very deep, almost making contact with the rear end of the Audi in front of him. And all this shuffling, battling is playing into the cards of Kars Nuchians, who is up 8 seconds now in the lead. I think the only one that could challenge Nuchians, at least right now with that race pace, is Orant. So he has to look to make his way through those two Audis rather quickly in order to remain with a chance of battling for the lead here. So Nuchians can't run away with it. Let's see when the start finish straight again. Logan Run is in the slipstream of Western Edwards. Western Edwards going to the outside. So is Logan Arand. You can't make it work around the outside through turn 1, but you can easily go down the inside through the second kink as Western Edwards has run wide, and now you got the preferred line into turn 3. Western Edwards closes the door aggressively. There's definitely some contact made with Orand. Don't think Western Edwards knew that Orand was there. And Western Edwards stays in front of Orand. I think I just heard a spin somewhere as Brandt and Jeremy Pope keep on battling hard. And Pope is back up to P5. Have to kind of have a look here at two battles at the same time, as the battle for P2 is raging on. Logan Arand catches some oversteer and loses the position to Mulder again. So I feel like the Ferrari seems like it's a very, very fast car, at least the way it's set up here today for Orand, but seems to be really tricky to drive. He's already made 2 mistakes in the first 9 laps, and it looks like the Ferrari is difficult to handle. It seems like it has a lot of oversteer, as Western Edwards just outbraked himself into that middle sector hairpin. As Johnson Randall just went a lap down. And Brandt is back up into P5 against Jeremy Pope. Jeremy Pope has a look down the inside again through that downhill hairpin, and Pope is back up front. So these guys are swapping positions left, right, and center. Orand seems like he has a lot of straight line speed, so his car seems to be trimmed out as he moves out of the slipstream to the outside of Mulder. Not enough right now. Can he make his signature move though into turn 3, taking his a really, really short way around the turn 2 kink? No, it's not enough, as Mulder is also having a look at an impossible overtake here on his teammate Cam Western Edwards. It seems to be too far away to make a move down into that downhill hairpin though. Yeah, Western Edwards is late on the brakes. The fourth car here in the picture is Jensen Randall. He is out of the order. He is a lap down right now, obviously following his first lap flip. So I can't believe he's still in the race. That's incredible. As Brandt and Pope keep battling, Sam Brandt already half a minute behind Cas Nuchians. I don't know what's wrong with Sam Brandt here today. Has he missed it on the setup? Difficult to tell right now. Seems like he seems to be struggling, which is rare to see, because the last time Sam Brandt hasn't finished on the podium this season was the first race at Daytona when he finished P5. Apart from that, he's finished every single GT3 race on the podium this season. Obviously the highlight of the season coming at Imola when he won. Last time out at Oschersleben, he finished 2nd behind race winner Logan Arand, so it was a Ferrari 1-2 finish. Today they're running P4 and P5 at the moment, as Arand is looking to make it P3 as he goes down the inside of Max Mulder into turn 1. And he makes the move stick. Mulder stays on the outside though. But Arand got the preferred line through here, but Mulder brakes really late and keeps it down the inside through the long left, and they remain side by side. Logan Arand runs on the grass, now going to this hairpin corner. Max Mulder on the inside surely got this move done, and he does. So great defensive stuff from the two Audis. They're making life really difficult for Arand. And they're basically doing what I said they might do, what Logan Arand should be avoiding, because he is stuck in this battle for 2nd place, and Cas Nuchians is running away with the race lead. He's already 11 seconds ahead. He's putting up a clinic. As Jeremy Pope back up to P5 as he swapped position with Samuel Brandt. These two have swapped positions at least a dozen times already this race. As they are side by side again in the middle sector. Samuel Brandt sends it down the inside, and Brandt goes ahead again. Pope tries a switchback, not enough this time. Logan Run now down the inside of Mulder again, just like last lap. Can Mulder keep it around the outside again? No, he can't, as it seems like. Will he try to come back at him into turn 3 down the inside? Can't quite do it. Around back into P3. As we can see Brandt and Pope battling it out again. Also going to turn 1 now. Brandt has a look down the inside of Pope. And Brandt goes back up to P5, but I think he's run wide here. He's ran off the track. Pope is coming back at him, and Pope keeps position. Great battle between the American and the Dane. Lance LeBrun, as he, a big save there from the Lamborghini driver, currently running a minute behind race leader Kes Nuriens in P7. He's around 6 seconds ahead of Dion Stahl, who's still nursing that Acura after the first lap damage. It's been a really disappointing season for Dion Stahl. The Acura, after moving from McLaren to the Acura team in the off season to join his F1 teammate for Ferrari, Sandro Doulis, obviously myself, who's now in the booth, unfortunately. It hasn't been the season he wanted. The Acura has proven to be a really difficult car to drive this season for some odd reason. Haven't quite figured out the setup, and it's been a real struggle for both myself and Dion Stahl with the Acura this season. And you can see, obviously, just insult to injury with the crash on lap 1 with Dion Stahl. Making contact with Jensen Randall, sending Jensen Randall in that flip. And Dion Stahl, ever since then, has been nursing that Acura with that front end damage. Not helping the performance of that car. As Cam Weston Edwards locked the rears going into that hairpin. You could see the back end stepping out under braking. Dion Stahl has added another second of penalty. He's now up to 2 seconds worth of penalty points. Penalty seconds, excuse me. As Orand, after getting past Max Mulder 2 laps to go, has now closed the gap down to his teammate, to Max Mulder's teammate Weston Edwards, for second place. As Lance LeBron has just gone for a spin. I can see some... Is that some rain there on the camera lens? I think it is. At least in the middle sector. Is there some weather in the area? We started this race with clear skies and no clouds. This could be a massive twist to this race. Yeah, there's definitely some rain coming down, as you can see on the camera lens. This could totally swift the performance and the outcome of this race. In the dry, it's been Cas Nuriens who's put up an absolute clinic so far. But in the wet, we don't know how these cars are set up. I imagine that Logan Orand, who has obviously set up his Ferrari really aggressively as he's been struggling with some rear end, I think he might struggle in the wet conditions. And as the rain is getting harder, you can actually hear it on the camera and on the screen right now. Jeremy Pope has entered the pits. He's definitely running enough fuel, so is that all really for wet tires? I definitely changing tires. I don't know if it is for wets. It must be, because why would he pit now as the rain is coming down? He has enough fuel for half a race. Interesting. Weston Edwards runs a little wide through the hairpin. Yeah, the windscreen wipers are on in Logan Oran's Ferrari. As he almost makes contact with Cameron Weston Edwards into the penultimate corner. Weston Edwards braked a little early through there. And you can see how much he has to steer into the final corner. They're definitely fighting some understeer already. Might be feeling the effects of the rain. As Allrank is getting closer to Weston Edwards on the straight. The lap times are dropping as well, I feel like. At least for everybody else than Cas Nutrients, who remains staying in the 44s. He's up to 15 seconds now in the lead. And Logan Ron sends it down the inside and makes the move stick on Weston Edwards. Weston Edwards makes some contact there with the front end and the rear end of the Ferrari. Because Weston Edwards was looking for the switchback move, but Logan Ron covered him off. And now, Logan Ron is on the chase for Cas Nutrients. Weston Edwards having a look, not close enough. I'm having a look at Jeremy Pope here to see what his next lap time will be after his pit stop. Because I feel like he went into wets. There's no way he pitted for dries at this stage of the race. That would be a strategic failure, if you ask me at least. Lap times are now definitely dropping. Cas Nutrients was a second slower than his previous lap on the last lap, on lap 16. See Jeremy Pope here. Difficult to tell. It's really difficult to tell if he's on wet tires, unfortunately. Cas Nutrients has also turned on the windscreen wipers. Will be interesting to see when these drivers pit for the wet tires, when this track is too wet to continue on those slicks. Seems like the drivers remain out on track. Apart from Pope, nobody has pitted. Despite the rain still coming down. It's coming down aggressively. As we say hello to Nick van Gelder in the chat. As currently Jeremy Pope is going a lap down. He definitely seems to have gone onto the wets, and it seems to be too early. He's running around 10 seconds slower a lap than the slick tire runners. But the rain is getting heavier every lap. Yeah, Nick van Gelder unfortunately having to miss this race here today. Shame he can't be here. Making some good points here with saying that it's a really impressive pace here from KS Nuchians. Especially if you consider this is his first ever SRL League start. And it's definitely looking good for the championship at the moment for Max Mulder, who's running in 4th place. That's not what he's looking for, obviously, as we know Max Mulder's mentality. But he is running ahead of Sam Grant. And by a lot, by almost 20 seconds, he's running ahead of his championship rival. And that's all he needs, as the rain is pouring down right now. And you saw them flying by Jeremy Pope about half a lap ago. Jeremy Pope hasn't dropped quite as much in the last 2 sectors here, so I think we might get closer to the crossover point. And this is some really strong rain. You can see the rain coming with the wind as well. Cas Nuchians right now coming through the final corner. Will he make the call and pit first of the leaders? He doesn't, he stays out. And everybody stays on the racetrack. They remain on the slicks. Windscreen wipers have come on, so have the front lights. Those headlights. Apart from, I think, Max Mulder, who's not running the headlights. He is, my bad. As the lap times keep dropping, they're around 2.5 seconds slow at the moment as they were earlier. At least that's what you can compare with if you look at the lap times of leader Nuchians in the Porsche. As we have just under an hour to go, the first 30 minutes of this race, action-packed. We had a flip on lap 1. We have a newcomer in his first ever SRL League race on pole position, leading the race by 15 seconds. With an impressive and incredible scrap here for 2nd place so far. And a battle for the championship, which currently is looking in favor of Max Mulder, the young Dutchman. Could this be his day? The day he's been working for the entire season. It's looking like it at the moment, but this is endurance racing, this is league racing, and as we know, anything can happen. Lap times seem to have stabilized, at least on the last lap. They're running around mid 45s at the moment. So while the rain is coming down, I think the track temperature might be quite high. That's why the track isn't getting wet that quick. Currently having an eye on the gap between the 2 leaders, Orand and Cas Nuchians, and I don't know if Nuchians has made a mistake on last step, but his gap has been building up the entire race, but the last 2 or 3 laps it has gone down. It was up to 16.5 seconds, is now to almost 14. So, I mean, he might be managing the race, but we should definitely keep an eye on that if that's a developing story. Max Mulder has dropped behind Weston Edwards and Logan around here. The gap between Mulder and his teammate is now up to 5. Oh my goodness, Logan around goes around. Once again, it's a carbon copy of what happened on lap 8. It's exactly the same thing. That Ferrari seems to struggle with rear end grip. And our end is down to P4. I was just going to ask that Mulder seems to be dropping behind those two in front, but now Mulder is back up to the podium position. And that's what I said. Logan Aran seems to have great pace, but that Ferrari seems to be really difficult to handle. It seems like he's running a very aggressive setup, which, yeah, might not work as well in the wet conditions. As Jensen Randall is not running last anymore, Jamie Pope has now dropped to last place. His move on to wets has not paid off. He was battling for 5th and is now running in last place. A lap behind the leaders. So, I mean, if you're not in the podium positions, I understand if you gamble, but he was running in a decent position. I don't know if it was worth it to go onto the wets that early on. That now puts Sam Brandt in a lonely P5. Next car in front is 25 seconds ahead. Next car behind is almost a minute behind, and Logan Aran pits. Aran might be the first one of these leaders to go for wet tires. The other 3 leaders, Mulder, Weston Edwards and Nugent, are staying out. Now the question is Orant actually going for wets? Because if this rain isn't getting any worse and the track remains mainly dry, I don't see the point of going to wets if you look at the lap times of Jeremy Pope. Obviously these drivers can't see the lap times of Pope, but right now Pope is still a lot slower than everybody else on slicks. Will the 2 Audis respond and pit as well to cover the undercut off? There's definitely some spray now coming up from the tires, as you can just see behind Weston Edwards, and Weston Edwards runs right for the final corner. Leader Nugent is pitted. Will Weston Edwards follow? Edwards stays out. Will Mulder pit? Mulder stays out as well. Reminiscent of what he did at Imola in F1, staying out with slick tires on a wet racetrack. Where's Orant at? There he is. Through the middle sector he comes. Will be interesting to see what the gap between him and Nugent is after the pit stop have cleared it. There definitely seems to be a lot of water on the racetrack now. I think it's time for wet tires. Nugent is back on the racetrack. Half a minute behind the 2 Audis. And the lap times of the slick running drivers are dropping. Sam Brandt now currently running close to 50s. So are the 2 Audis on the slicks. I'm still waiting for the first lap time of Orant. Let's see what he's running. He's running a 2-minute 2. That's 10 seconds slower. While it might look like wet tires, It doesn't seem like they are quicker. The dry tires are still superior. By 10 seconds. That's incredible. Smolder runs wide. There must have been a mistake there from Allround as well, because Jeremy Pope on the wet tires is currently running 54s. So 2:02. And now the two Audis are coming as well. Weston Edwards in. Mulder in. There he is. Hit the speed limit. Don't speed in the pits. That's not what Mulder needs at the moment. Keep it easy, don't speed. And both Audis are getting serviced. And here comes Nuchians to go back up in the race lead. Then in the background, that's not Logan Oran, that's Samuel Brandt actually. He was now moving up into P2. He's trying a different strategy. He's the last car to remain on the racetrack with, I think, Dion Stahl. He needs to do that. He needs to risk everything in order to finish ahead of Max Mulder. And if that means staying out on the racetrack on those dry tires, that's what he has to do. He just has to throw a Hail Mary at that point, despite there still being 50 minutes left in this race. Weston Edwards back out on track. So is Mulder, who's dropped behind Logan Oran, whose last lap was a 54, which is still 4 seconds slower than the dry tires. I think that Max Mulder has either taken more fuel than his teammate Weston Edwards, or he had some damage that had to be repaired, because he has dropped 8 seconds behind teammate Weston Edwards, and those weren't 8 seconds when they entered the pits. So, as Dion Stahl has now entered the pits, and this service will take a little bit longer because he obviously picked up the damage on lap 1. The last car remaining out on track are Lance LeBron and Samuel Brandt, who's running 2 seconds behind leader Cas Nuchians. Jensen Randall pits as well for wet tires, I imagine. And I think Brandt is now pitting. Yes, he is. It's too much for those dry tires. I still feel like he made a maximum out of that, because the last 2 laps he ran on those dry tires, he was still quicker than the wet tire runners, so decent strategy by the Dane. Will it be enough to... Oh, he overshot his pit stall! And that has cost some unnecessary 3 seconds maybe. As he'll get passed by Weston Edwards, Logan Oran and Max Mulder now. In all of that, Cas Nuchians has built up his gap to second place by almost half a minute. Where does that come from? I don't know how much fuel. Let's see how much fuel he's running. He's got 77 liters. Weston Edwards, Oran, and Mulder have definitely taken a lot more fuel than Cas Nuchians, and I don't know if that is enough fuel to finish this race. I think it is, but then I'm asking myself why the others behind him took that much fuel. Now this is really interesting. And let's see how this is going to develop further into this race. So Oran is currently catching up to Weston Edwards, who's still running in that second place. Weston Edwards is doing an outstanding job here. Obviously he's taken that reserve driver role this season because he Obviously, he's an SRL veteran. He has been racing in SRL since 2017. He's gone to university this year, and that's why he can't race full time. He's taken that reserve driver role, and he's done an incredible job at it. He hasn't raced in GT3 in SRL since Portugal, so on this track, last year. So the entire season he hasn't raced. He just hops into the car and is running second. It's unbelievable the amount of talent this Brit has. He showed that last week as well in Formula 1 when he finished second at Baku and easily could have even won the race. He was up there, and that just to me proves how much talent this guy has. He just jumps in without any practice and is battling for podiums as he is now side by side with Logan Orand. As for the third time this race, Orand makes his way up into second place. Let's see if he can keep it this time. Weston Edwards still running in a podium spot. Weston Edwards will remain in that reserve driver spot for next season as well. He announced that just before this race started, so glad to have him back. Always unfortunately it's not for a full-time campaign, but happy to still have him here as a reserve driver, and whenever he makes a race start, it's a real pleasure to see him race, especially in side-by-side battles. And around goes Orand. It's almost like I cursed him, and so is, oh my goodness, no way, Max Mulder has made contact. And there's no more contact with Logan Orand. And Jensen Randall, the lap car of Jensen Randall, Max Mulder has taken a massive hit to the side of his Audi. We saw in the background that Logan Orand spun around. I almost put the commentator's curse on him. And seconds later, Max Mulder spun around as well. So there might be a puddle there on the apex through that downhill corner. And when Max Mulder spun, there was nowhere to go for Jensen Randall, who's currently running a lap down. And he T-boned the Audi of Max Mulder. And Mulder has to pit. Dramatic scenes for the championship leader. This is taking a dramatic turn in the championship. And Sammy Runt will take over P4 now. How long will Max Mulder remain in the pits? He's gone. Will he stay in front of Dion Star? Yes, he will. And that now puts Max Mulder out of championship position. I'm stunned right now. I'm absolutely stunned. Max Mulder needs the fastest lap of the race. If we finish the race right now, Max Mulder would lose out to the championship by a point. I mean, at least winning it now. Because obviously we still got a race to go and he got a big gap in the championship. But he wants to win this championship here today at Portimão. And if we end the race right now, he wouldn't be able to do it. What he needs to do, if we finish this race the way they're running right now, he needs to pick up the fast lap of the race, which is currently held by Kers Nuchians, who's been in another zip code here today. And obviously, that was run in dry conditions. Right now it's wet. There's no way he can top the fastest lap the way the conditions are at the moment. So, he needs to catch up to Sammy Runt. And that's almost an impossible task. That's 25 seconds. What dramatic scenes here at the halfway point of this race. This is becoming an absolute thriller. And not for the race lead, because Kers Nuchians is putting up an absolute domination show here. He's running 40 seconds in front of second place Cam Weston Edwards. Incredible. as Logan around has closed back up to Cam Weston Edwards. The last time that happened, Logan around made his way through, but he spun only a sector later, so... I mean, it seems like whenever Logan around gets past Weston Edwards, he gets into some kind of trouble. And Oran is now still side by side with Weston Edwards. He's running at that wet weather racing line though. And Oran is through on Weston Edwards. Jensen Randall looking to unlap himself here. Oh, Jensen Randall outbraked himself. They're almost hitting the rear end of Cam Weston Edwards. Having a look here at Max Mulder to see what he can do against Samuel Blunt, but right now it's not looking good for him. Let's have a quick look here at what the penalty situation is looking like. Nothing new. Just Dion Starr still running with that, 2 seconds he picked up early on in the race. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I could just hear the ref limiter off. I think Cam Weston Edwards it was, which means he's running a really low gear through the last corner there to fight that understeer, just to get that extra rotation through the final corner, as Weston Edwards runs far off the racetrack. Jensen Randall making his way past Cam Weston Edwards to unlap himself. Randall currently running P8 in front of Lance LeBron. Kaz Nuchians, fastest driver on the track right now, and the gap is showing that. He's leading by 40 seconds. And I keep looking at the battle between P4 and 5, Max Mulder and Samuel Brand, but Max Mulder's last lap was finally 2 seconds quicker than Samuel Brand's, but before that, Brand was constantly running quicker than Mulder, so Mulder needs to run a lot quicker than Samuel Brand in order to get close to him and possibly try and overtake. Will this championship decision be postponed? Will Samuel Brand be able to keep his championship chances going into the final race at Solda? All questions that will be answered here in the last half hour of this race. Max Mulder's last lap was 1.1 seconds quicker than Brand. If we look at the leaders, they're running 54s. At least Kaz Nuchians is. But the interesting question here remains what this fuel situation is like. Got 57 liters left. I actually think he didn't take any fuel on the pit stop, so either he has made a mistake and underfueled his car here massively, or the other drivers just for some reason took fuel which wasn't necessary. Maybe they just went too safe in order to possibly have a chance at this race win. As Weston Edwards has been caught by Samuel Brand. And this is vital, because as soon as Samuel Brand finishes third, ahead of Max Mulder, Samuel Brand can postpone this championship decision to the final round. And I don't know if Weston Edwards will race that hard for his teammate, because as I said earlier, these two haven't been teammates until now. This is their first race this season together, so I don't know how strong their bond will be, and how much Cam Weston Edwards will fight for this position. But knowing Weston Edwards, he'll give everything in this fight, because this, after all, is for a podium spot. As Samuel Brandt has a look down the inside of Weston Edwards. Oh, there's some wheel banging, some contact. Samuel Brandt really close. Brandt is in the slipstream. Weston Edwards takes him to the pit wall. Brandt moves to the outside. Oh my goodness, big moment there for Brandt, who got loose on the entry curb there on the outside. Brandt now down the inside in turn 3. They will be side by side. There is a puddle on the outside. You don't want to get onto that. Brandt keeps it strong, keeps it fast, and gets past Weston Edwards. And that is not playing into the hands of Max Mulder. Max Mulder is running some 26 seconds behind that battle. And P2 is not out of the equation for Samuel Brandt. He's only running 7 seconds behind his teammate Logan Arand. So, after that poor qualifying session, qualifying 7th, and that not great first stint in this race, in the dries, Samuel Brandt is looking at a possible P2 finish. He seems to have incredible pace for the wet. And I mean, as we can see, Weston was running very wide there through turn 2. We've talked about possibly postponing the championship decision to the final round. At this rate, he might actually make it close. Right now the gap between going into that final round at Zolder would be 7 points between Brandt and Mulder. And considering we were talking about Mulder possibly winning the championship here, that's rather impressive. If Samuel Brandt can bring it home and even possibly overtake his teammate Logan Arand. And I don't know if there will be any team orders between those two. I mean, they have worked well in the past. Obviously, last time out at Oschersley, been taking that incredible 1-2 finish for Ferrari. And that, at the moment, is the closest battle on track. That battle for P2, which is currently held by Logan Arand. 7 seconds behind him is Samuel Brandt. And another 5 seconds behind him, it's Cam Weston Edwards. Last lap, the quickest of the three was Samuel Brandt, with a 54.2, which was the fastest lap of anyone. Last lap at least, so he's currently the quickest car on the racetrack, and you can see that. Dion Star running in a lonely P6 at the moment. Considering he had to nurse his Acura for the complete first stint of this race, I think that would be rather pleasing for Dion Star, but knowing Dion Star's standards in those GT3 cars, he doesn't want to fight for 6th places, he wants to fight for wins and championships, so definitely not what Dion Star is looking for, but considering how tough that race start was, I think he'll be pleased with a 6th place finish if this is how the race ends. But we still got 25 minutes left, which is a lot of time, and the gap between I've missed it. I think Logan Around might have spun, because Samuel Runt is now up into P2. The gap was 7 seconds just a lap ago, so I think Logan Around might have made a mistake here. And it's getting worse and worse for Max Mulder, who is now the quickest car on the racetrack. He ran a low 53, which is unbelievably quick in those conditions. But he has to do a lot to catch up the 3 drivers ahead. And catching is one thing, overtaking is another. So difficult, very difficult task here for Max Mulder. Also, gotta give some props to the drivers here. Over an hour of racing is down, and we still got everybody in the race. 9 drivers started, 9 drivers are still in the race, and that despite us having a flip on lap 1. So that's nice to see. Everybody still running strong in this event. Another 53 by Max on the last lap. Weston Air was running a 57, which is about 4 seconds slower, and yeah, Logan Around ran a 2 minutes 6 on the last lap, so that confirms that he has made a mistake and probably spun. Brandt is running a 55. Leader Cars Nurians, currently almost a minute in front of the Dane. What a fantastic story. It hasn't even been 24 hours since Cas Nurians signed up for SRL, and now he's currently in the lead of the Portimão 1.5 hours. You gotta love stories like this. Let's hop on board with the 34-year-old, the Dutchman, running the Dutch flag on his car, on the livery. He's running a project car schedule only, so no F1 starts for him. So he'll have to wait for the next GT3 race, as we got 5 F1 events coming up, starting with Canada on the 9th. So in a week we are going to race at Canada in F1, followed by Portimão, the Portuguese Grand Prix, here at Portugal as well on the 16th of April. Then we go night racing at Singapore on the 23rd, followed by Mexico on the 30th of April. And then we go to Saudi Arabia on May 7th. Then we got a little off week, so no SRL racing on the 14th of May. And then on the 21st, we have the European race, the finale, here in the SRL League GT3 International Championship at Solder. So mark that in your calendar. 21st of May, the season finale. And will we see his championship fight? Currently, it looks like it. As Lance LeBron has entered the pits for his second pit stop, I think. And he takes it into the garage. So LeBron calls it a day, and he'll be our first retirement. That's a shame, but great to see the American back on track. Last time out we saw him at the Nürburgring in round 2. Or I think round 3 it was, yes. Round 3. Max Muller is putting up some great lap times, but the gap to the next car ahead, his teammate, is now down to around 12 seconds. The gap to Samuel Brandt is still around 25 seconds, so I think that is out of the question. I don't think he can get there. But I think a podium, difficult. I think P4 at least is still possible here for the young Dutchman. See that massive puddle on the inside. While driving around that, you don't want to touch that, because otherwise your car will surely go for a spin, because there's absolutely no grip there. You will just aquaplane. Takes a rain line for the penultimate corner. It's another massive puddle there on the exit of the of the final corner, on the inside at least. Let's see what Mulder can do this lap. It's a 56, so lost quite some time this lap. Not on his teammate though, because West Edwards ran a 59 on that lap. And now we're coming through turn 3, and I think going into turn 4 there's a massive puddle on the outside. Yeah, you have to keep it on the left hand side to not touch that puddle, so it's kind of comprehends the run into turn 4. And there's another massive puddle there on the apex of the hairpin, the downhill hairpin. So yeah, definitely gotta watch out for those puddles. You really don't want to get onto them. We have a battle for P7 lining up here with Jeremy Pope, currently in 7th, getting caught up by Jensen Randall, who's now only just under 2 seconds behind him. Obviously these two having quite difficult races as Pope runs off the racetrack. Obviously Jensen Randall being involved in that flip on lap 1, and Jeremy Pope was the first one to pit for wet tires, which proved to be a mistake. As we have just over a quarter of an hour left in this race, so we're getting closer and closer to the last laps of the 1.5 hours here at Portimão. It's been a dramatic race. We saw some great battles. We saw a rain shower that I think surprised most of the drivers. And we've seen the championship swap around. Going into this race, I think most of us thought that Max Mulder would clinch the title already here at Portimão. It looked like it for the first half of the race, but then the dramatic incident when he was hit by Jensen Randall after spinning around, dropping Max Mulder down to P5, and then Samuel Brandt emerged with some great pace under these wet weather conditions, which seemed to suit the Dane. As Jensen Randall has gotten closer and closer now to Jeremy Pope, the American. He's in the slipstream. So you can see the Ferrari of, I think that's Samuel Brandt behind them. He's a lap in front. As Pope runs a little wide through turn 3, Jensen Randall stays behind because he does not want to get onto that puddle and aquaplane off the racetrack. Clever by the F1 champion. And GT3 champion, of course. Obviously winning the GT3 championship of Season 2 last year. In dominating fashion. As I'm having a look at the leaderboard, I can see that Max Mulder is getting closer and closer to his teammate Weston Edwards. The gap is down to 2 seconds. As Jensen Randall tries that switchback move, but is now on the outside of Jeremy Pope. I don't think that will work. It doesn't. He has to stay behind for now. And we'll pick up the battle for P4 between the two Audis, Mulder and Weston Edwards. Gap is down to 1 second. Weston Edwards really slow out of that hairpin. How hard will he defend against his teammate? Very hard, it seems like. Aggressive move there by Weston Edwards to completely block the inside line going to the hairpin, preventing any possible dive from there from Mulder. They're going side by side through the penultimate turn. There's some contact. Yeah, nothing with team orders. There are none. As Jensen, Randall and Jeremy Pope keep on battling it out. Mulder in the slipstream of his teammate. Mulder moves to the outside. Great move. Fantastic overtake from Mulder. He found a lot of grip there on the outside, but Cameron Weston Edwards comes back at him. Mulder's on the outside and gets pushed out wide by his teammate, and Cameron Weston Edwards is back in front. I should have known better. We all know how fantastic Cameron Weston Edwards is at defending his position, and that was a little too easy there for Max Mulder, as they're rubbing tires. Contact going into the downhill hairpin. More contact. Mulder pushes off Weston Edwards. They make some contact there, almost in the gravel. It's a little bit too hard between those two teammates for my liking. And now Mulder's in front. That was a lot of hard work. And I've missed the retirement. And it's been the Cinderella story of this race. Kaz Nuchians has retired of the session. That must have been a disconnect. Oh, that is heartbreaking. That is absolutely heartbreaking. And that puts Samuel Brandt in the race lead. I'm shocked right now. That is heartbreaking. It's unfortunate you don't get a notification for disconnects on Project Cars, but Kaz Nuchians, who was leading the entire race, who scored pole position, who led almost every single lap of his first ever SRL League race, has disconnected with only 10 minutes left. That is unbelievable. And that puts Samuel Brandt in the race lead. That would be 10 points. So, the gap in the championship would go down to 6 points. I'm in absolute shock. I cannot believe that. And I feel so unbelievably sorry for Kaz Nuchians, who drove the perfect race. And Samuel Brandt only has 8 minutes to go. 8 minutes in order to win his second race of the season. Eight minutes that will keep him in the championship fight going into the final race at Zolder. Quickly have a look at what the fastest lap is at the moment. It is a 45.1 for Logan Rand, so he'll take home that extra point. That won't be beaten in the wet conditions. And all the drama we've missed, what looks like close battle for 6th place between Randall and Pope. Randall now running 6th behind Dion Stahl, who's half a minute behind, 40 seconds in front of that battle. Weston Edwards, another 20 seconds in front of Stahl. And after battling for about 3 laps ago, Max Mulder is already 10 seconds in front of Weston Edwards, running 3rd. But he's 13 seconds behind Orand, and I don't think, if Orand doesn't make any more mistakes this race, I think Max Mulder has to settle for 3rd place here. And he surely will be disappointed. I know how hard Max Mulder works and practices for these races, and he definitely came into this race with the expectation to go home as a champion. And after Oschersleben it will be another Ferrari 1-2. This way, the other way around, with Brandt taking the win. And Logan Run having to settle for second place. And I'm just getting the confirmation by Cas Nuchians that it indeed was a disconnect. That is heartbreaking. Let's hope he can fix whatever the issue was for the next race at Solda. Max Muller has been the quickest car on the racetrack for the last 10 or 15 laps, but the gap he had after that unscheduled pit stop for the damage repair was just too big. There was, even with the pace he had, it sounds stupid, but he was only 1 second quicker a lap, and it should have been more in order at least to catch up to the two leaders here of Samuel Brandt and Logan Orand. I mean, it is a nice recovery drive for Max Muller, who showed that he definitely has the pace, but yeah, just unlucky. Unbelievably unlucky for Max Muller. That, I mean, it was his error to make that, to get into that spin, but yeah, exactly through this corner here. But there was just nowhere to go for Jensen Randall, who was a lap down running behind him, and in these situations there's nothing you can really do. You just spin and you're in the middle of the racing line, and you just have to hope and pray that nobody makes contact with you, and in that situation Max Muller didn't have the luck on his side, unfortunately. Some running a little bit off the racetrack here. Behind him there's Jensen Randall, who is 2 laps down? Or 1 lap down? I think he might be 1 lap down, yeah. He's looking at unlopping himself here, as Samuel Brandt is coming around the final corner now to start his final lap of the race. One more time around for Brandt. One more time through the first 2 kinks. Then into the tire hairpin of turn 3. And then one more time he has to pass that puddle into turn 4. Don't get close to it. No need to take any risks. He got an 11-second gap on his teammate Orand. Jensen Randall is a lap down, so he doesn't have to worry about him. Max Muller has gotten a lot closer again to Logan Orand. He's only around 4 seconds behind him now. But I don't think it will be enough, as long as Logan Orand doesn't make a mistake. One more time through the middle sector. Up the hill. Through the corner that changed the race. It hasn't been the race start he wanted, it hasn't been the qualifying session he was looking for, but his pace in the wet was outstanding. And yes, he was a little bit lucky, but luck is part of racing, and he'll deservedly will take home this race victory. And through the final corner he comes. Against all odds, Samuel Brandt is going to win the 1.5 hours at Portimão. Is going to take that championship fight to the final round of the race. Congratulations, Samuel Brandt. Logan Arndt in second place. He'll make that another Ferrari 1-2. Followed by Max Mulder, who'll surely be disappointed with third place. He wanted to win the championship today here at Portimão, but after that incident midway through the race he has to settle for third. Cam Weston-Edwards on his comeback in the GT3 championship will take home an impressive P4 finish for Audi. Was looking like a podium for most of the race, but the pace in the wet didn't seem to be as strong as it was in the dry, but Cam Weston-Edwards definitely can be happy with that result. If he can stay in front of Dion Stahl, who is running 5th after a first lap incident with Jensen Randall, that will be a decent result for him, I think. And that is it. Here is the race result. Samuel Brandt takes a crucial win in the championship in front of Logan Arndt and championship leader Max Mulder. The championship lead of Max Mulder has closed down to 6 points now. So Max Mulder takes that 6-point gap into the final race at Zolder. 4th for Cam Weston-Edwards in front of Dion Stahl, Jensen Randall, Jeremy Pope. Then in 8th place it's Cas Nurians, who scored pole position, led until 10 minutes to go when he disconnected. Heartbreaking for him. And in 9th place it was Lance LeBron, who retired with half an hour left. Let's quickly see if we can get Samuel Brandt up in the booth to maybe get some interview questions in here. So give me a second. This race has taken a lot of turns I did not expect. From the flip on lap 1 to the incredible battle of lap 2 to the rain period to the incident that changed the championship fight to the disconnect with 10 minutes to go of Cas Nurians. This race had it all. And we are just waiting for Samuel Brandt to join me up in the booth so we can possibly ask him some questions. Let's hope the Dane will join soon. He's probably just celebrating at the moment. It doesn't seem like the Dane will join us here. Maybe he doesn't have enough time, we don't know. But yeah, so that's been round 6 of the SRL League International GT3 Championship of Season 3 at Portimão. What a race it has been. We'll see you guys next weekend at the F1 race at Canada, so make sure you won't miss that, 1 PM UK time. Check out the links down below in the description. SRL League Instagram account if you want to stay up with any news, standings and highlights. Also check out the SRL League website for schedules, standings and so on. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel to see more SRL League content. I've been Sandro and I'll see you back on track next week at Canada. Bye.